Hello everyone, my name is Nathan, and today it's time for another episode of Oxygen Not Included in our One Duplicant Challenge series here. In between the episodes I took myself the liberty of exploring a little bit sideways, and we're gonna be continuing this in the beginning of the episode. However, I also gained another skill point, so it's now time to actually get into mechatronics engineering. Yeah, I think that currently has the highest priority, though we need to be aware of our morale. So soon enough we need to set up something to improve on that, but let's go ahead and unlock mechatronics engineering. And I think to further improve my life, even though it doesn't really do anything, but I'm gonna equip a little cap. Also, since we're already at it, I would like to equip the Spiffy Overalls. There we go, getting the skill point, getting the cap and the Spiffy Overall. How does it look? Nice, I really like it. Also, now we can finally build that auto sweeper, which means I'm gonna set these coal generators to priority 1, so my duplicant isn't really working on them. But as you can see, I'm already crafting the microchips necessary to improve the coal generators. Right now, if we have a look at them, they produce 600 watts, and let's see if I actually do something about improving them. It might be that we have to up the priority, I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, let's actually put them back up to priority 5, see if that does anything. There we go. Okay, we are actually now doing something, so I might have to keep them at priority 5. But as long as the auto sweeper is here and my duplicant isn't becoming idle, we should never actually waste time to fill up the coal. The first coal generator is improved and it is now producing 900 watts instead of 600. This will have to be done periodically. I have to see whether or not that is going to be too much manual labor. This even further improves my machinery skill. It is a fairly lengthy process, so I'm hoping it lasts for multiple cycles. And now we can keep on exploring a little bit. I'm gonna continue this all the way over. I want to see what we can find. And I'm actually gonna deconstruct all of this. If we deconstruct this, we might actually be able to spawn some diamonds in the printing pod. We're unleashing the Sweetles here. They can just keep on living and eating if they want to. The main thing is, somewhere we still need to keep a pocket in case all the other Sweetles are dying out. There's the next secret room. We're gonna submit our bioscan right away. However, first we need to take a poop in our new toilet, and by now we also accumulated enough polluted water in order to feed that plant here, that thimbleweed. There is our bioscan. Yes, wonderful, a neural vacillator. Should we use that right away? Yeah, sure, why not? I think we can only profit from it, so we're gonna be using it. There we go. Oh man, it's just always a pleasure to watch this. I wish it actually took a little bit longer, but there we go. Let's complete the neural process. And we got plus 10 strength. Holy cow. That was an extremely useful upgrade. Wow. I'm really grateful for this. Now let's already set the recharge, even though we don't have the ingredients yet, but when we have it, we're gonna be recharging it. We also inspect everything else in order to get the data banks, and then we demolish what we don't really need, though I don't have the demolish skill just yet. At this point, I think it also doesn't matter if we open up any scenarios where we get chlorine or hydrogen in the joint. Even slime doesn't matter that much as long as we shut it off from the main base where we are without an exosuit. By the way, I've also been adding some storage bins here inside the liquid lock to store the slime that I get from downstairs. So eventually all the slime that I'm getting from these biomes is going to be picked up and stored safely. And it looks as though that is exactly what I'm doing right now. Looks like it lasted for 2 or 3 cycles, I didn't actually count. I still think overall it's gonna be worth it. It's also actively improving my machinery skill or operating skill, which is gonna prove useful in the future. Once I exceed the 20 or 30 mark, I imagine this is gonna go rather quickly. Alrighty, I progressed a little bit further, made sure that we finalized the top portion here of the build, because I was running into more and more issues with the polluted oxygen that was coming from the compost. I also moved that over a little bit. Now I'm also gonna close this off, not completely, but this should prevent any more polluted oxygen from going up there, damaging my exosuit systems. Something else that is bothering me is I need a solution for the liquids that I'm acquiring every now and then. I think I'm gonna do that right here. So we're gonna set up another pool. Let's make this fairly large, approximately like so. We're gonna have a bottle emptier here, and I think I'm just gonna actually finish this off like so. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Right here, I'm gonna store all the various liquids I don't have a location for just yet, and that also reminds me we need one of those for the polluted water, so I can put the polluted water inside. On the other side, all the polluted water that's hanging around here we could use to supply this farm tile, maybe. Got my bottle emptier already in place. This is gonna be for salt water and brine. So far, I only occasionally got it from the printing pot, but I never had the opportunity to actually store it somewhere. Oh yes, I'm so happy. I was so bothered by all the freaking bottles here, but that is now over. I also continued excavating here towards the side, so I get a better idea of the dimensions of this planetoid, and it is fairly large for one single duplicant, so we'll have to work towards transit tubes very quickly, which means we need to engage into the oil biome and make use of the oil here, convert it to petroleum and finally to plastic. We also had our first worn Atmo suit, so every now and then when we wear it, it is going to be worn, and all I had to do here is set up the recipe for worn Atmo suits, which requires one reed fiber and the worn Atmo suit itself to fix. Now, I totally forgot that we already discovered a neural vacillator earlier in the playthrough, and since we were so lucky before making our duplicant much stronger, I figured we should use the second neural vacillator as well. But right now Nathan decided to keep working on the bottom floor here just a tiny bit. Now I really want to make the pooping a little bit faster, especially because I have reduced bathroom use speed. That seems to be rather important. All we have to do is add a lamp to the mix. Let me see, where can I find that? The lamp we already unlocked. And it looks as though we also unlocked the duplicant motion sensor. Actually, we got everything in place. I did not know, otherwise I would have built it much sooner. But there we go. We need a duplicant motion sensor to detect when we are using the bathroom. And we're gonna be needing a ceiling light to increase the speed here. There are just certain things that go much quicker using a light, and pooping is actually one of those activities. Something else we could do is the same thing here for the supercomputer. So we'll add a motion sensor right there and a ceiling light. Now thinking about it, I might want to put the motion sensor on the other side, so it only really activates when we are here. Also some automation wire, connect this and connect that. Oh, we don't have enough refined materials anymore. I guess we can produce some more. Copper here, let's do another 10 crafts. But you get the basic gist. Now the only thing we need to do is hook this up to the grid, and I think I'm gonna be using the one that I'm entertaining myself. So this would go right here, and now it's hooked up to the hamster wheel. And there it is. This is going to make my research much quicker here. I'm not even sure what the boost is, but it is definitely worth it. And we'll be having similar setups with lights wherever it is useful. As a matter of fact, it could become useful here in conjunction with the exosuit forge, but more importantly the rock crusher. The problem here is with the motion sensor. It's gonna be hard to detect whether or not the duplicant is here. I have to see if that is actually enough distance. So we'll just connect this for now, and then I want to know if we are working on the rock crusher, if this duplicant sensor actually detects it. Wonderful. Now we can see actually the working spot of a duplicant is not necessarily where the animation happens. So right now this duplicant sensor is actually detecting the duplicant because he is working in the center tile. And now we should be getting that light and everything because the center tile here is also illuminated, and we can see hovering over Nathan here at the bottom, it is a lit workspace. So that means the rock crushing goes that much faster, and I'm happy now. You know, something else I would like to see maybe right here is a closed off room, and then we can use an automatic dispenser to get our eggs in here. This way we'll be able to keep a bunch of critters without really taking care of them for a while. And all I have to do is set this to all critter eggs and sweep only. So whenever I sweep up some eggs, they're gonna be brought over here, but they're not gonna be picked up continuously. And by just closing this off will prevent the critters from going out, but the pneumatic door is still gonna let the oxygen in for the gas pump. It's also now time to do a little cleanup again here inside the base. Alrighty, this is a couple of cycles later, and as you can see, we've started to explore more and more of the map. I'm now building on this part here, but I also would like to explore into the other direction, get this water a little bit under control. So I think that's what I'm gonna be doing next. And as a matter of fact, I would like to exchange these ladders with granite here, because sandstone isn't available anymore, at least not as easily. And maybe before I forget, the first order of business could be to get into the neural vacillator here and check out what benefits we'll gain. There I am, enjoying the ride. Yes! Wonderful. Complete neural process. What do we get this time around? This duplicant has an unwavering positive outlook on life. Stress minus 20% per cycle. This could be extremely useful when we get to other planetoids or space and we don't have as much morale points. So actually that was incredibly beneficial once again. I'm also gonna set this one to recharge as soon as we have a recharge capsule. Before I forget, I spawned some fish at the printing pot here and they actually made their way into my water pool here. That means I'm actually gonna eradicate the fish right here, because sometimes my duplicant goes here and picks up some eggshells and other stuff that are being produced by these fish and I don't need them anymore. Actually, some Pacu didn't make it all the way into the pool. I didn't even notice. I guess we can kill them off first thing in the morning. Okay, I think it's time to break through here. Let's do this. This is also gonna prevent the slime I just dug up from emitting more slime particles. Now, there are two things about the oxygen mask I dislike. First of all, we can still get physical disadvantages such as eye irritation or being soaking wet. Of course, it also doesn't prevent us from getting hyperthermia or a heat stroke. And finally, probably the most annoying aspect, it doesn't last for very long. With the Atmosuit, we can perform an entire day of work without interruptions. So considering all of this, it might be time to exchange this with a proper system. We're gonna do something similar as we did at the bottom. And in terms of morale, it would actually be great to include this room here that we could utilize as a nature reserve and actually get +6 morale points, which would allow us to spend even more skill points. So let's actually do the same exact thing we did here at the bottom. We need a little bit of space here. We then have our flooring here, and this would be our liquid log, like so. We finish the ceiling right here. Make sure this will all be included inside the base somewhat. And the only way to exit it will be through this ladder here. It's gonna be a peculiar shape for a little while, but it's gonna make more sense very soon. Let's remove everything that we don't require in terms of terrain. Of course, we'll be needing that bottle emptier here to fill up the liquid log. Also, we should already have enough refined copper to set up the checkpoint and also 2 Atmosuit docks. And while we're at it, we're also gonna be expanding the pipes. Now, as for the power, slowly this could become an issue, but we're still gonna attempt to use the same cable here. The potential load exceeds the wire's capabilities, but theoretically we shouldn't reach it yet. By the way, I realized the engine tune-up here will last for approximately 4 cycles. If we check this out, yeah, it's 4.4 cycles even. Maybe it has something to do with my operating skill. So the higher the operating skill, the longer it will last, because 4.4 cycles would be strange. Even 4.5 cycles would be strange. But it would make sense if there were some type of modifier. You know, I think at this point we can deconstruct the oxygen mask here. We don't necessarily need that anymore, including any piping. And that also means I can unequip the suit and we'll be able to put it away for a while. Also, I'm installing a bunch of doors. We need to have a look at the rooms here. We want to make a nature reserve, not only a park, but nature reserve with a maximum size of 120 tiles. So we need to limit this room, but we need to make sure the nature reserve touches a room that we go through every day. We can now take this apart and actually make it smooth. And then the entire ladder shaft is going to belong to it. So all we have to do is make sure it cannot go any further. We need to limit the rooms. So let's say we're gonna set up a door here, get rid of that storage, set up a door right here as well, and we would have to limit like all the rooms. Yeah, otherwise this is just gonna be way too large. You know what? It would be easier to just move the supercomputer 1 block over and then limit the room here. We also add a door at this point. And then we'll be left with this corridor. We'll also have to move the triage cot and unfortunately the battery. Though maybe if we include this room, it's still not going to be too large. We'll see. In the future, obviously, we're going to move the nature reserve room wherever we want with the help of the pips here. But for now, I just want the buff so I can set up some more skills. Yeah, looking at this, I might just move the battery downstairs here. That wouldn't even hurt me too much. And we can simply connect it like so, still to the hamster wheel. I think I'm gonna do just that. Okay, wonderful. I think the room has been limited. If we check this out, the room size is 125 tiles, so still a little bit too large. We can probably limit this room here, add a door, and this should solve our problems. To get it down to 120 tiles instead and receive the bonus. Also, we really should toggle all these doors to be open. Otherwise, within the span of hundreds of cycles, I will lose so much time. There it is completed. Now what's the size? It is 120 tiles exactly. That means we can convert it into a nature reserve. I believe that was within furniture. All we need to do is add a park sign anywhere in this room. I'm just going to do it over there. And of course we also want to deliver 2 suits now that we are practically ready. Which means we will be needing to craft 2 more suits and therefore a whole bunch more copper here at the rock crusher. But if we just add this park sign now, we should get that room bonus. Let me just make sure. Yeah, nature reserve plus 6 morale. Wow. So now looking at the skills, I already have 28 morale and that isn't even including a good meal. To celebrate that, I believe I'm gonna go into demolition. Yeah, I really want the capabilities of removing the ancient structures there. And then next we probably want the ability to also research the volcanoes and everything. So yeah, still lots of skill points to spend, but this is also gonna make our building much faster. Voila, there is our first Atmos suit, and I'm eagerly rock crushing some more copper. Well, you look at that, a perfect care package right now. That means I can get rid of the crafts here, and we can directly move on to crafting the next Atmos suit. Something else I want to fix is the polluted oxygen being able to move over here. So we are going to add a whole bunch of airflow tiles and the polluted oxygen can just move down into the cellar. And there is our second Atmos suit docked. Wonderful. That is now going to make it much easier to explore everything on the top here, giving me a nice and cozy feeling. But alright, I would say with that out of the way, we're gonna wrap it up for today's episode. The nature reserve was actually a really good step to take this early on, considering we need all the skills we can get. But with that out of the way, thank you so much for watching, have a great time and see you in the next one. Bye bye.